Welcome to the Floor Academy podcast. I'm your host, Kyle Hadeen, owner of Illustrious Hardwoods in Mesa, Arizona. I am here this week with Caleb Blair of Monkeywrench Marketing, and we are going to be talking about integrating with your community and how that can be very, very powerful for your business. Before we get started, I want to let you know, Floor Academy is here to facilitate you taking what many contractors do is own a job. We want to help you go from owning a job to having a business to owning an asset that you can walk away from and it still runs. You can go and enjoy those things that you actually started your business for, whether it's spend more time with family, go travel, buy the boat and hang out on the lake. I don't know what it is for you. I'd love to have that conversation with you and learn why you do what you do and how you want to push it forward and where Floor Academy could fit into that dream. So let's make that happen. Let's, listen to these episodes and you're going to get a takeaway every week. You're going to implement a little something and you're going to move that business forward. And it's going to get easier and easier. Systems and processes will change your life. Having boundaries will change your life. Before we let Caleb introduce himself, I want to let you know that for over 65 years, Laticrete has been a leading manufacturer of products and systems covering tile and stone installation, masonry veneer installation, resinous and decorative floor finishes, concrete construction chemicals, and concrete restoration. They offer an array of low VOC and sustainable products. Their products contribute to LEED certification, exceed commercial and residential VOC building requirements, and are backed by the most comprehensive warranties in the industry. For more information on Laticrete and their products, visit laticrete.com. Caleb Blair, welcome to the Floor Academy podcast.
Yo, yo.
And why don't you give us the your background? Who are you? What do you do? Why do you do it? Maybe a little bit about why you got a giant flag in your background. Let's kind of dig into a little bit of your history, and then we'll get into the meat of the topic.
Yeah, absolutely, Kyle. Thanks so much for having me on, man. I'm really excited to be here and to have the opportunity to share my story and some of the things that I care about in life with your audience. I always struggle with these about you thing. I'm not really good about talking about myself. I'm Caleb. I feel like I'm in an A meeting every time, I grew up in the New York area. I was a pastor's kid, missionary kid. So New York area was where we spent a lot of time, but traveled all over the globe, all over the country, spent quite a few years in Israel as a child, and had a lot of exposure to other worldviews and other perspectives other than your typical American, look at life pretty early on. So by the time I was 17, I joined the Army and was in the Army as an infantryman for 3 years. I got out and had never really done anything other than construction. As a teenager, I was homeschooled, and so I worked a full-time job from the time I was 14, 15 on, and was in the trades and got out of the military and had done side work, the whole time I was in, helping the guys get their on-base housing or apartments, move out ready and fixing the patches in the wall and whatever else it may be, right? And got a job as an apprentice with a really, really high-end interior remodeling company that truly gave me the opportunity to appreciate craftsmanship, the actual, the art in craftsmanship, right? Like
Yes.
Taking the high road in every single aspect of it because we care about what we do. And that really was influential in the way that I came to look at the trades. But from there, I started to go down a pretty dark road when it came to my own PTSD. Not as much from the military, actually, more so from my childhood. And fell into addiction real bad and was drinking really heavily and just not who I wanted to be in life. I lost rights to my daughter. I found myself in a place, where I really didn't want to be the person that I was anymore. And at that point, I really tried to take care of my mental health and get psychiatric treatment and start to figure out what was going on with myself. But funny enough, in the trades, you can show up hungover and have your substance abuse issues all day long. But the minute that you want to take half a day to go to therapy a week, that's unemployable then. And so this was really what launched me into entrepreneurship, was just the desire to be able to take care of myself, the desire to be able to live a life that was healthy for me and not have to feel like I was a slave to paying my bills and sacrificing everything that was good for me in the process. And so I set out and I was like, I'll be a handyman for 30,000 a year and be real happy with that. And pretty quickly thereafter, within the first year, I was running multiple crews and really falling in love with that sales and scaling game, right? The ability to arbitrage labor and leverage uh, awareness of a solution to solve a problem, right? And so fast forward 3 years, we did bathroom remodeling for the majority of it. It took me a little bit to kind of figure out how to get a niche and get into that niche. So the last year and a half, we were doing pretty consistently bathrooms only. And so at that point, though, this was me growing up and having that self-awareness to recognize that, working jobs wasn't what I wanted to do my entire life, right? I had a passion for so much more than just turning people's ugly rooms into, beautiful works of art. And so what I started to recognize was that there was these things about the trades that I enjoyed, but it wasn't the trades themselves, right? This concept of projects, being able to take something and revitalize it, make it your own, and bring life back to it, right? This concept of the creativity of design was a huge thing for me, being able to use my mind to envision something and to make it a reality. Right?
Okay. Yeah.
So I was able to take these things. Okay, I really like these things, and I'm very good at communicating when it comes to digital ecosystem. Right, being able to communicate, whether it's on the phone, on text, on social media, whatever it may be. I seem to have a knack for that. Right, being a younger kid, having grown up with technology more so than a lot of the older generations, it just came more fluidly to me than it did a lot of others in the trades. And so COVID happened, and I recognized a massive need in the industry for more digital communication. Right. At this point, we're not as much just going to people's homes to give an estimate until we actually know we're working together, because they're scared of COVID and they don't want me in their home. Right. So all that to get to where we are now, which is I run a quote unquote marketing agency, but it's more so a sales agency. We focus on automated sales processes and building that local reputation within your community by the experience that you give your homeowners. Right. It's not just a matter of
Yes.
Telling everybody about you, but why are you different than the rest, right? What is your story? What is your messaging? What can you do better than the next guy can?
Well, and I think marketing and advertising get confused a lot. People think they're the same thing. Advertising is trying to get that next project. You are trying to draw in the lead. Marketing is building that brand and having an awareness of it. And so they're two different things, and you need to be doing both for your small business. I want to thank you for sharing. I think that mental health aspect, the addiction things that you hit on are definitely a problem in the trades, and congratulations on working on yourself and bettering yourself and seeking the help you needed. I've hit on that in a couple of episodes, and it's big. We're supposed to be big, tough men and not have any problems and not cry and stuff. And like, look, there's no shame in going and admitting like you're broken or need help. So folks, if you need something, like go and seek out what you need. I won't lie. Like, I signed up for therapy a couple weeks ago, got one session in, I got one tomorrow, and I'm looking forward to it. I want to better me so I can help better you. Right. And who would I be if I wasn't practicing what I preached? So I am working on it, because I feel like I'm kind of stuck in my development. So let's hash some things out.
I think that every employer should be on top of being aware of their team's mental health, right? Like, I look back at, some of the employers that I had, and I'm like, man, if you would have just invested a little bit of energy into me and helping me get my shit figured out, you would have had like the most loyal, talented, profitable rock star for the rest of your life.
Yeah.
I really think that that's something that we can improve on as employers, is changing the stigma around it, right? Ask your guys how they're doing. How are things at home? How are the kids? How is your wife? How is your marriage, right?
Yes.
Like, is there any way that I can make you more sustainable outside of work, so that way I get a better version of you at work?
Well, I think that brings us right into our topic. I think that is integrating with your community. Everybody likes to say they have the small family-run business. Okay, like most of us say that in the trades, right? Oh, we're a small family business. Well, okay, but just saying it doesn't mean anything. If you really want that kind of culture at your company, you can't just, the things Caleb was just talking about, you can't even just go and you can't just mention them. Like, you truly have to go to your employees and really believe them. You have to really want to know them and help grow them. If you're hiring employees, you should not be hiring somebody if you do not plan on leaving them better than you found them. And the little things. Go ahead.
Everybody likes to say that nobody wants to stick around, right? They train them and they leave. But how many of those people are looking at their hires as investments?
Correct. I mean, you need to be investing in them to keep them around, but you need to give them the place to want to stay. You actually have to train them. You have to give them opportunities to move ahead. You have to clearly communicate how they can move ahead. And so there's plenty of things you can do. And I have episodes about that. And I want to dig into some other things. But like, if you want to be that small family business that's admired and you want to plug into the community, having your employees out in the wild saying, I love my job, is the best advertising for future employees you can get. And that's not what's happening most of the time. Most of the people that I know in the trades complain a lot about their hours, who they work with, who they work for, how much they get paid. So none of these companies are knocking it out the park. So how are you going to go be different? What are you going to do? How are you going to treat them so that they go spread the word in the community? So that, I think that's one aspect of this conversation, is how do you start building that reputation? But then another one is, then what do you do to be involved with your community? So what are some of your ideas of how you can help get involved with your community?
So I'm going to get this out of the way so that way I don't have to talk about it anymore. And your audience doesn't have to get annoyed with me, but social media is going to be the number one most leverageable tool when it comes to doing this. Social media isn't advertising. Social media is your opportunity to leverage word of mouth on the internet, right? And so posting about what it's like at work, right? Even on your own personal page, guys, right? Like, it doesn't have to be on the business page, but take the time to talk about the guys on your team, talk about their growth, their accomplishments, what they're proud of them for. Whether it's, congratulations to Elijah that just had a new baby, right? We're excited about a member of the team, right? It's this part of showing the world who you are and what culture is like in your organization. If you're not sharing it, it doesn't matter how great it is, it's going to be very, very detrimentally affected, right? It's same thing as a website. You can spend $100,000 on the nicest website in the world, but if you have nobody look at it, it was a waste, right? And so we want to keep that in mind with everything that we talk about. We always want to be sharing these things on social media. So that's the umbrella everything else falls under, right? But one of the things that I really have been looking to see more of, more opportunities for contractors to leverage is events. It's not something that we talk about very much in the construction world, but the ability for contractors to host and participate in local community events, right? Like DIY workshops or craft fairs, or even their local state fair, right? Setting up a booth and just shaking hands, getting to know people.
Yeah.
I think that there's so many opportunities for contractors to go out physically in their local community and just meet people, right? At the end of the day, what this is relationship building, and integrating with your local community is building relationships with your local community. So have you seen those events work for a lot of contractors? I had quite a lot of success doing some of the DIY stuff, but I'm really looking to
I mean, I've thrown a couple things out. So what I can say is that there's that the big box store that's orange. They've got little programs on like Saturday morning, and you can build a birdhouse, or you can build a picture frame, or you can and man, I'll tell you what, my kids are coming at me. Let's go. Come on. Is it that weekend? And they're not as into it now, but when they were a little bit younger, they would eat the heck out of that stuff. You want to know who they're really, really loyal to? The big box store that's orange, and they have been brainwashed from a child to go love this place and know what it is, what they have, how they can help you. And that place also offers classes on tile installation, flooring installation, how to install a backsplash. I don't know if they do any plumbing stuff. They might do some light plumbing stuff or something. I don't know. But the fact of the matter is they are offering classes. Now, I can go ask any contractor, what do you think of what they offer? Like, and if they went in there, I bet you they'd be like, well, this kid doesn't know anything they're talking about. They learned on a computer in the back. This class is garbage. Okay. You're the expert. Why aren't you doing it?
Yes.
Why aren't you the one doing it? Okay, here. Let me break this down, okay? And I'm sure Caleb will agree with me. A DIYer was never your client to begin with, and that's okay. However, if you make them successful, they have friends that are not DIYers. They have friends at the office that are not DIYers. Do you want them talking about the big box store? Or do you want them talking about your little shop that gave them the perfect advice of how to do it correctly? Do you think I'm wrong? Or, you know, what are your thoughts?
Hitting on the head. I think you're hitting on the head, man. Something that we talk about brand and marketing, right? Being separate from advertising. Sorry, guys, my lighting fell off the wall, and I'm just going to leave it, and we're just going to run with it, right? So, but this concept of establishing yourself as a subject matter expert, right? For those that, you know, you hit it on the head when you said the DIYers aren't probably going to be your audience anyways, right? But what it does do is anybody that's not a DIYer that wouldn't do the class and they wouldn't participate anyways, they're going to look at you and they say, wow, this guy is teaching others what to do. And he's so confident in his own craft that he knows that it doesn't matter how much time they spend learning under him, they're never going to be able to accomplish the same end result as him, therefore not replacing him. That's who I want working in my home, right? It's this concept of establishing yourself as the expert in the craft that is so undervalued and understated.
And look, I know here's the excuse I'm going to get. Well, I don't have a store. I don't have a warehouse. I don't have a hold it out of your garage, put it on in your driveway. I don't care. Figure it out. Don't make excuses. Go do the work. And if you think people showing up in your driveway like looks kind of weird, maybe, but who cares? Like if you can get people there and teach them a skill and integrate your business into caring about the community, it's going to go a lot further. I threw an idea out a while back. Go ahead.
This is a great second point, which is, you know, you mentioned how it looks, you know, doing it out of your garage, whatever else. The key here to building a relationship with anybody, but especially your local community as a business, is authenticity. The second that you're perceived as fake, the second that you're perceived as two-faced, the second that you're perceived as anything less than authentically yourself, you're going to start to lose credibility, right? You're going to start to be looked down on as the opposite, as the scammy contractor that's just trying to rip people off, instead of the awesome dude that's really trying to look out for his community, right? And no matter where you're at, authenticity is the answer. People aren't going to judge you because you're at a certain place on your journey that doesn't match where you expect it to be in your own head, right? And so we look at our progress, we look at our journey, we look at our success, and we have a tendency to look down on it because we know where we could be. We know our potential. We know where we're going to be in 5 years, right? But we forget that the rest of the world doesn't judge us that way. They don't look at us that way. So instead, they would much rather be a part of the journey with you, right? This is one of the things that I did, and very, very unknowingly, like I did it, and I didn't recognize that I was doing it at the time, but I was very transparent about our business journey story, right? Like I was a young kid that was coming up from the trades that maybe didn't necessarily know all the in and outs of the craftsmanship myself, but I could hire awesome team members that were incredible at their job, right? And it was this story of the underdog, right? And everybody loves the underdog story. Everybody wants to root for the underdog. And so when you're sitting there and you're looking at yourself like, wow, I don't know how people would look at me if they saw me doing these things out of my garage, I can almost promise you guys that somebody that would think negatively isn't somebody you want to work with anyways. Not somebody you want in your audience anyways. Secondly, everybody else that you do want in your audience is going to truly appreciate the amount of effort and vulnerability that you applied to the problem and how open you were to exposing yourself for the sake of enriching their lives.
I 100% agree. I mean, then there's other little things. I threw out an idea a while back. I may have said it a couple times on here, but I do have a listener and someone I've had on the show and interviewed before, Joshua Crossman in Yelm, Washington. I threw out the idea of, if you have a shop, why aren't you having Santa in it at Christmas time? Okay, like why not have Santa come in? He's going to hand out candy canes. You can have some hot cocoa. He's going to read them a couple of books. You can get, Night Before Christmas and Polar Express. And Santa's going to read a couple books. Santa's going to put the kids on his lap. He's going to ask the kids what they want. You do all of this after hours, right? The store's closed. It's not in your way. The parents bring in their kids. They get a couple stories. They're going to tell Santa what they want. Maybe you have a photographer come in, take pictures. It depends on how big you want to go, right? But just bring the community into your store. Don't even sell them, right? Your racks are there. If the parents want to walk around and look at them, look at them. But I would not have a sales agenda anywhere. If somebody asks, I would tell them, look, I'm happy to talk about that right now, but right now, let's just enjoy the evening and let the kids hang out with Santa, right? Don't push the agenda. Set an appointment up with somebody during the week if they want, but just let it be about that moment. And if people want to come back, they're going to come back. But how many people are going to go tell their friend, oh my God, you can go get free pictures with Santa over here? They have the most amazing Santa. Josh actually played Santa himself, which is awesome. And he's been working really hard at losing weight lately. And I was like, bro, you ain't going to be able to play Santa this year if you keep going. So, but it went over really well for him. Like, he had fun doing it. And I think it makes an impact on your community when you get involved and you invite them into your space and you want to get to know them and grow those relationships. And I think too often the small guy is focused on, I got to get that next thing. I got to go and get the next client, whatever, right? It's go, 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 go. It's never stop and enjoy this place we're at.
100%, man. And you can take that and you can be so creative with it because it's not just Santa, right? It's in the summer setting up a slip and slide with a food truck and a local band, right? The point is to bring your local community together with your name attached to it. You hit it on the head when you said you don't want to sell to them. And this, I want to talk about that a little bit more because I have some strong opinions on this. Too often when we think of marketing or advertising in the construction space, we think of finding people that are already shopping. That's not the person that I want as a client anyways, right? The person that is actively shopping bids isn't somebody that I want to be taking my time with, right? Because unless they're looking for the most qualified, I mean, it depends on your niche, right? But as a whole, contractors want to be in the top end of the price range, right? Doesn't do you any good to be second most expensive. Doesn't do you any good to be second cheapest, right? And so we all are shooting for either the top or the bottom. And if you're not, then maybe you'll look at your business model. But one of the things that's really just so important here is that you have the ability to remain top of mind, right? It's this concept I talk a lot about.
Yes.
You don't want the person that's actively shopping the bids. You want the person that knows who you are when it comes time to do the project and you're the only person they're calling, right? That's how you start to name your price and work with clientele that don't have any of the issues that these shoppers have, right? When you can have somebody that just calls you when it's time to do the project, you're going to eliminate all of the friction in your sales process. You're going to eliminate all of the friction in the actual management of the project itself, right? Maybe not the fulfillment, but when it comes to project managing from a client standpoint, as well as a administrative overview standpoint, you're going to have so much flexibility in what you need to do. The client's going to have so much trust in you. They're going to be you at your word. Like, it's all these things that make a project go beautifully that you get when you are the only option for somebody to have their solution.
I think that's a huge factor, is when you find the people that are going to be raving fans and they sell you so hard, when the community knows you're the only option to go to. Once again, I've talked about it a bunch of times. There's a pizza shop in one of the towns near me. Everyone loves them. Everyone will go battle to the death on social media over this company if someone throws them under the bus. However, it's because they're doing the things Caleb and I are talking about. Someone's house burns down in that community. They are the first one to sit there and say, you know what? Profit from sales this weekend will go to this family, or, 10% of sales, whatever they're going to do, right? They constantly have drives going on, whether it's helping different nonprofits, and you can go into one of their many locations and drop stuff off to donate to the nonprofit, But there's always something going on. They support all the sports teams at the local high schools around them, and they're, putting the jerseys on them and things like that. So they are finding a way to integrate. I think they do karaoke one night a month, or maybe it's once a week, but there's something gimmicky about it, and people hate gimmicks, but they work, and it's not necessarily a bad thing, especially if you're getting people involved. And you have to be able to have you want to be a part of your community, but that means you have to create a community around you. So it can't all be work.
It's healthy here to divide the audience into two sides. On one side, we have the guys that have storefront or shop, right?
Yep.
For you guys, if you aren't actively doing community functions, that's the easy fix. You have the space, you have all of the objections that you could possibly come up with, overcame already. Now it's just a matter of figuring out how to actually host an event, right? But I want to take a second and talk about the other guys, right?
Okay,
the guys that say, I don't know what to do with this because I don't have that opportunity in front of me. This is where that digital ecosystem becomes so valuable to you as a grassroots organization, right? When you can go, and this is what I did, you can go on Facebook and you can become the name in all of your local homeowner groups, right? You guys have heard marketers talk about them. I'm sure this isn't a new concept, but Facebook groups are one of the most powerful tools when it comes to online community building that we can leverage as contractors. One of the ways that people don't think about applying it is creating their own group, right? Where it's not the Atlanta construction group. You're not trying to talk to other contractors. This is something I see contractors do wrong often. They use their social media network of other contractors nationwide. Those guys aren't going to pay your bills, right? And so instead, create the Atlanta Homeowners Resource Group, right? Where now you've provided a home where they can come and they can get value. You've identified your audience as being the key members. You can get real niche with these groups, right? You can do them by gated community even. And what you have the opportunity to do then is, again, you're not trying to sell anything. No different than the event we talked about, not having a sales agenda. It's the exact same concept with these digital ecosystems you're creating, because you're going to stay top of mind. Your logo's there, right? Illustrious Hardwoods. It's no secret you do hardwood flooring, right? When it comes to mind, they need flooring done. They already are in your group once a week and interacting with their friends, and that's already a integrated part of their life now. And so there's no question where the first place they're going to go to get answers and solutions is, And so again, that's not selling anything. That's just providing value to your local homeowners by creating a ecosystem where they can get access to the information, resources, and solutions that they need. If you're a flooring guy, why don't you have a gutter guy, a garage door guy, a door guy, all on speed dial? So that way, when you have clients that are looking for these other solutions, you have somebody that you trust that you can pass them along to, that you know is going to do an ethical job.
Well, I want to take it a step further than that. So I was in a BNI group for a while. So it's Business Networking International. They're a huge, how do you want to put it? They call it a networking group. It's like a lead generation group, right? Like some people think they're like scammy and whatnot. They're not. If you get in the right group, it works really well. But Caleb's sitting there and he's talking about like your tradesman, right? So you want to know the painter, the garage door guy, the plumber, the electrician, like know all these people. I don't care who you know. I think one of the beauties of me having gotten into this role as doing the podcast is that I've met so many people, and I never know who I'm going to need to know. I want my clients to know I'm the guy. If you need something, like I'm not just the floor guy, like that's what I do, but now you know Kyle, and Kyle knows everybody, right? So if you need a financial advisor, I got him. You need to go set up a new bank account somewhere, I got the bank. You need to like have someone buy a car for you, I know a car buyer. I don't care what it is. I will find that person, I will vet them, and I will get them to you. I want you to, if you need something, I want you to think of me. The minute you think of me, you think of what I do. I don't just do floors, I do all this other stuff. But then because you're constantly thinking about me, you will remember more about me. And so by being you just want to be the guy that connects people. And that's what you're talking about by being in this group, right? You start this community online that gives resources to people, and you're the one facilitating that magic happening. So how do they not constantly think of you? That's what you want.
At the end of the day, every opportunity that you have to provide value to your local community is going to integrate you with them, and is going to make you more attractive to them, period. The more you get away from monetizing on the value that you give them, the more valuable it's going to be to them, I promise, right? The more they're going to appreciate it. Of course, you provide value in your service itself, right? You solve problems in your local community through your installation, through your product that you sell, whatever else. But they know that that's how you pay your bills, right? There is this subconscious, acknowledged transactional aspect to it.
Mm-hmm.
That emotional leverage really comes in when you start giving without asking anything in return, right? And
Yes.
we hear that talked about and like give them an ebook because it'll lead to a sale. They're not fucking stupid. They know that that ebook is supposed to lead to a sale, right? And so what I mean is like truly like the things that you get nothing out of, like Kyle's talking about, like having somebody call you and say, hey, I need a financial advisor. I know it's totally outside your wheelhouse, but I trust you. Please help me find somebody. This is like a really important thing to our family right now. And then you to just drop what you're doing and be like, absolutely, man, I'm here for you. I love you. Let me take care of you. And then do it. And then just say, hey, I know that this is what's best for you. And this is why I'm doing it. I hope you have a great day. Bam. Wow. Kyle's such an incredible dude. I'm so thankful that he's around. I'm so thankful that he cares. Like, I don't know what I'd do without him.
Well, that's it, right? You have, once again, it goes back to what we were talking about at the beginning, in that if you want to be concerned about your employees, like you have to genuinely be concerned. You have to genuinely care about your clients. And that's why I don't call them customers. Customers is it's so transactional. Okay. When I go to Walmart, I'm a customer there. I buy a good or a service and I expect nothing in return other than that good or service for my money. I don't want people coming to my contracting business feeling like a customer. I do not want it to be so transactional. I want it to be a relationship. I want to help you. I want to be there for you down the road. I want to follow up and know about your kids that I just spent a week or two with as I was working on a project. I want to know how, Ralphie the dog is doing. And I do have a client that, Kipper, the golden retriever, man, I love that dog. And I like, they'll randomly post pictures on Facebook and I'll be like, oh dude, I love that dog. Like, how's he doing? And so it's, building a relationship with people. But I'll tell you what, I genuinely like that family and I love staying in touch with them, but I get a lot of referrals out of them. I'm always top of mind. If someone says flooring, it goes there. And that's a great side benefit of it, but I genuinely like that family and I want to stay in touch with them. So before we continue, because I'm sure you got something on that, we're gonna jump in here. Floor Academy listeners, whether you're an installer, retailer, distributor, or serve in another capacity within our industry, attending trade shows is a solid resource to expand your knowledge and networking base. You can also learn about the newest and industry-leading products coming to market. The International Surface event is returning to Las Vegas January 31st through February 2nd, 2023, so mark your calendars now. Floor Academy podcast listeners will have exclusive registration offers coming soon, so stay up to date with the International Surfaces event page on Facebook. Johns Manville manufactures a range of innovative building materials, including products for the flooring industry. From GoBoard to Evolith, Johns Manville products are not often visible, but they provide technical, environmental, and economic advantages to the essential items you are installing every day. GoBoard is an ultra lightweight and waterproof tile backer board, and Evolith products are fiberglass or polyester non-woven components used in the making of carpet tiles, LVT, and resilient flooring. Caleb, I forgot where we're at. You probably remember. What are we talking about, buddy? Where were we going with that?
I don't remember.
No, okay. So we got we're
so hold on. This is the one thing I do remember about it, and this
okay.
might like kickstart your memory, is I wanted to throw out just like this little trick that I think every contractor should be doing, and if they're not, I already know the objections that you guys are going to be saying to yourselves, and you guys can hit me up about them. Well, I can help you flesh those out, but you should be hitting up every single person that you interact with on a one-on-one basis. As soon as you enter their home, even if it's just a lead, even if it's just an estimate, you should be adding them as a friend on Facebook.
Ooh. See, everyone wants to, I can't do that. I got to keep it separate, right? They're just, once again, they're a customer. They're not a client. Why?
And so that thing, I see one of two things being the reason for that. Number one, it's insecurity, right? They have this premonition around having to be this picture perfect business. and
Hmm.
they are not
Hmm.
embracing that authenticity we talked about earlier, and this is
Okay.
something that will do a lot of good. Embrace that authenticity, be yourself, show people who you are. The second way that this goes that's not great is when they can't do that because the person underneath is something that needs to be hidden for the sake of business, right? And we see that a lot in this industry. And that's where I really like to go back to you are the epitome of everything that comes out of your business. And so you really need to take time to work on yourself.
Hmm.
Going back to how our trade looks at mental health,
Hmm.
take time to figure out what's going on inside of you so that way you are filling your glass and you can pour out of it.
Well, and I think that a lot of people, they're like, well, I want to be able to post what I want if I'm offensive, and like, I want to let my political views out. Look, make another profile. Okay. You can have this profile where you friend your clients and it's like an extension of your business, and you can keep things a little cleaner. If you want to go have the profile you get crazy on and you want to be you and let absolutely everything out, go do it. But there's a difference between Caleb's nailing it, right? So if I'm interacting with you only on my business page, you're not getting you're getting the business. You're not getting me. And if I want to build a relationship with you, like, you need to get some of me. This is being in your community and involved. As a business owner, and I think this is often looked at wrong, everyone's like, I own a business. Okay. Yes, technically you do. But they think that they are the business. No, the business is a business. You are an employee of your business. So you are not your business. You own it and you're an employee of it. But the business is its own entity. It makes its own definition out in the world of what it is. And then you can go and be a reflection of that, but you can also be
Supplement
you.
to it. A supplement to it.
Yes, exactly. And so if I'm only interacting with you as the business page, you are cramming the business down my throat. And I don't necessarily always want that.
Because everything to do with that business is transactional at a subconscious level.
Yes, exactly.
There's no secret, right? Like this business exists to make money. So if I'm interacting with it, they are working on getting money out of me, period. That
Hmm.
is how our brains interpret that from a consumer standpoint. And so that's why having a personal identity, I use this phrase a lot and contractors hate it. So I keep using it. But this local celebrity, right?
Yeah.
And they get, really, really anxious about this phrase. They hear it and they're like, oh, that's not me. I don't want to be that person, because they automatically create these bad assumptions of an influencer or an Instagram model, right?
Hmm.
When instead, it's not at all. Because I look at my elder generations in my communities, right? And my predecessors, right? And
Yeah.
they know who's who. They don't need social media to do that, right? They know everybody that is, especially 20 years ago, they knew everybody that was in that town. They knew where you get your car fixed. They knew who you went to for an attorney, right? It is that word of mouth that we talk about so heavily.
Hmm.
But those same people then look at social media and say, oh, we've lost our social touch. We've lost our ability to interact and engage with each other because it's all on a phone instead of real life anymore. But that's not reality. You know what I mean? That's not actually how it works. Like the words that we're speaking to each other are still words that are coming from the heart of our soul, if we're
Yes.
being authentic, right? And that is how relationships are built. And so if we can embrace the same pieces that they got so right around word of mouth and relationship building, and then just take those and apply them to the digital ecosystem, right? It's not about the transaction, it's about the relationship. And so I'm still myself learning to articulate what that is, right? Like what did our predecessors do so well about building relationships? And
Hmm.
how can we apply that now to our modern situation?
Well, and I think it's what people want to focus so much on social media and be like, oh, it's a bad thing. And like, look, I believe it is, right? It has kind of taken society a step back. We are a little more disconnected. But what we're saying is to use it as the tool it's meant to be used as. You can use it to grow a community, but you are trying to set something up to interact with them in person. You have to, just one of these aspects isn't going to do it. It's not going to make this like powerful approach if you're just trying to have this online community. You need to draw them in. You need to interact with them in person. You need to see them, touch them, shake their hand, get to know them, meet the dog, right? You have to go in someone's house to do contracting work for them. That's what makes us special. There's a lot of how many people get to work from home now, right? COVID has like changed the landscape, and People are just sitting in homes and not interacting, right? You do everything over the phone, over the internet. You don't go to the store to buy anything anymore. You go online, you hit a button, it comes and it's dropped off at your house. There's something to be said for those social interactions. Like we as people, like we as humans, we need that. Contracting requires us to go in homes. So let's get them to come to us for other events as well. Like you said, I don't know if you need to like go and, like I said, if you don't have the retail shop, what can you do? Can you find a way to go to like a home show and have a different booth instead of making it about selling, make it about teaching somehow and educate them?
Partnerships. Find someone that does have a shop.
Mm-hmm.
Find someone that has the shop that's not leveraging the potential, that's not a direct competitor of yours. Go find the garage door guy with the shop, right? Go find the electrician with the shop, right? Mm-hmm. It can be win-win situations for everybody involved. It's all about your creativity. You know, some things that you talked about, the in-person aspect versus the digital, and the transition there is what I was trying to articulate. I really wasn't doing a good job of, but the transition is what we struggle with. And so how we can look to that to fix it is by intentionally making the request that we be included in people's digital ecosystem, right? And so at the end of every project, religiously, I would ask every homeowner, hey, you're obviously expecting me to ask for a review. You know that's coming. We all do it. But I want to take it a step further, and I really would love for you to go on your Facebook and make a post about us and tag my personal page, tag the business page, and tell your family and friends what it was like to work with us on your own. Right? That's how you kickstart that word of mouth. It's not you talking about yourself. It's getting other people to talk about you on social media. And that's the key difference, right? And so that's what we really want to try to figure out how to accomplish. And it's not hard. Once you start looking at the problem, your brain will come up with all different ways to solve it. But first you have to acknowledge what the root of the problem is, which is getting other people to talk about you on social media.
Correct.
Not talking about yourself on social media.
Well, you want the social proof, right? I'm going to believe somebody else. We all like to go and read the 1-star reviews and see how bad a product is, but how those are the people that are like super bitter, right? So I think there's research on it, right? Like if you have a 5-star business and a lot of people are like, I have 5-star reviews. And like I do, I actually hate at this point that I have all 5-star reviews. I would love for someone to come along and be like, you know what? He really didn't hit the communication aspect for me, or something. Like, give me some awesome feedback of like, look, here's this one thing you can improve on. And if I could have like a 4.7, I would like perfect. Like I'm human, right? Like I fail occasionally, and it's going to set a better expectation for people. And that, I think that's what you're after, right? You want to go and you want to get that word of mouth. You want to have it, but you want it to be humanized because I am a human and I want to connect with other humans and I trust what they say. So like you want that little bit of, there needs to be just that little bit of failure in there because it's normal.
You mentioned the data. They did a study that said that 4.3 is the sweet spot.
Okay.
You want to be at 4.3 stars out of 5.
Hey, whatever it is, man. But it makes sense. You don't like, you can't, something that's too shiny, you can't look at it, right? It reflects the light. You're kind of like hiding from it. You don't want to interact with something that's so perfect because it's intimidating.
Well, here's the psychology of that. We know nothing is perfect. So when we can't find a flaw, we know it's just hiding, and the deeper that we have to look for it, right? And so when we have this clear depiction of what the flaws are and what they aren't, we can make educated decisions, right? But when we see something as perfect, our mind automatically knows that we're missing something, that there's something to look out for, right? That there's something that you're not catching on. And so that is, from a sales psychology perspective, that's what you're really hitting on there. It is no different than, I don't know how to go down that rabbit hole. I'll take that one back. But
no, well, if you can sum it up real quick. Look, I know we're coming up and you got a heart out. So if you want to sum up that point real quick, that'd be awesome. And then if we haven't hit on something, like let's hit on that like over the next minute or two, and then we can we'll wrap this up for you.
Here, I don't have a way to sum up that last one without going down the rabbit hole. So let's touch on this last thing that I wanted to touch on really quick.
Okay.
Which is, if you guys are going to host your events, which I really hope you guys walk away from this podcast doing, I want to give you guys some really quick ideas as to how to get people to show up to those events, right? Because there's nothing worse than getting the shop all ready and getting it all turned out and then having 2 people show up all day. That would suck, right?
Yeah.
So if you're going to do the event, here's some really easy ways you guys can get that out into your local community. The ticketing services like Eventbrite or Ticketmaster, they all have free ticket options. And so getting listed in your local communities on those platforms. The app called Meetup is a app that connects your local communities together around social functions and events. And so you can go create events on Meetup and people will find it on there, as well as your typical social media events. Create a LinkedIn event, create a Facebook event, put $50 towards an advertising budget that you build yourself, right? There's these, no different. We talked about the website earlier, having a $100,000 website that sees no traffic does no good. Having an incredible event that nobody comes to doesn't do any good either, right? And so be sure that you're on social media talking about it, having other people talk about it, even hire a few teenagers to be a little street team for you to go and post pictures of the events getting put together and set up and whatever else it may be. I don't want you guys to feel like we set you out on the wrong foot because you set up an event and nothing happened when you did the event. And so if you guys have any questions, I'd love to hear them in the comments. I'm in the group. I've been here a while. And so I'd love to talk about this more in written form.
Well, and you're going to step up in another role, right? So Caleb's going to start putting out some hints and tips and tricks on a weekly basis for us on how we can better market, how we can better advertise, how we can better utilize our website. And so he's going to help us out and start giving us little insights into how to make those changes. Because once again, if you help a community grow and you're the expert, it generally comes back. Look, we all got businesses and mouths and to feed and kids and whatnot. But at the end of the day, here's what we know. We can give away all the information we want. If you guys were going to do the work, you'd already be doing it. And some of you do. I listen to a ton of books. We do the book of the month in this thing. There's tons of information. You think I implement all that stuff? I ain't perfect. I need help. So at some point, you hire the professional to do the things you hate. That's the best part about running a company that's doing well financially. Is you get to hire people to do the things you hate. You don't have to wear all the hats all the time. Scaling a business and growing and adding people on is fine. And you don't have to have in-house employees. You can outsource a lot of things. You can outsource your marketing and advertising. There's companies that can handle that. You can get a virtual assistant to handle social media for you. There are things you can put in place so that you still can just be the guy out in the field doing a bid and an install, but you can get rid of a lot of the back end things, right? Get a bookkeeper, get a CPA. You can pay for all of these things to exist. So I think that's where you can really take away something from this episode, in that you're going to build that community. You're going to grow what your company can do, and then you can outsource this back end stuff so you can focus more on the things you truly care about. And that's what we're here to help you facilitate, is to own that asset and not a job, because owning a job will drag you down so fast. What do you got?
I want to interject. I got 2 things real quick to close this out. First is a story, and then second is the point behind the story, right? Okay. And so for any of you guys that have followed me for any period of time, you know that I don't do just one thing. I'm all over the place. I'm always doing projects, whether it was medical aid in Ukraine, whether it's construction, whether it's nonprofits, whether it's retreats here in Alaska. I'm all over the spectrum when it comes to what I do to pay my bills. I've been able to do that because of my personal brand, right? I don't want you guys to feel that building this personal brand ties you to the construction company. On the flip side, it's the opposite. Building this personal brand is what allows you to have the credibility as a name, as a person, to then leverage anything else in your life that you want to outside of construction, because you built credibility in this one space, right? And so for anybody that here, it's like, oh, well, I don't want construction to be my entire life. The point is to build credibility around your personal name so that you can do whatever you want and have a following behind you, have fans behind you supporting it because you're doing it, not because the solution the business provides.
Love it. Love it.
And that's why I do these things. I go to groups. I help administrate and teach. And truly, I love what I do. I love being able to talk about this stuff all day long. I love being able to help with it. And so if you guys can take that same approach and apply it to whatever it is you're doing, construction, selling products, selling to contractors, literally find that spot that you just love doing and then find opportunities to do that more, and it works out in your favor at the end of it.
Yes. If you have questions for Caleb about marketing, advertising, things of that nature, how to build this personal brand, like he's talking about, join the Floor Academy group on Facebook. He's in there. Tag Caleb Blair. If you're listening to this live, right, you have questions, put them in the comments. He's tagged in it, and so he'll get those notifications. Caleb, thank you for joining us. Thank you for your insights, the positivity, your participation in the community to help move people forward, and I very much appreciate it. Folks, that's going to do it for us this week. I want to thank all of our sponsors, International Surface Event, Johns Manville, Ladecrete. Go ahead, check out flooracademypod.com. We've got our shop over there. Pick up a t-shirt, a hoodie, a fanny pack. There's for those industry events, you want that fanny pack. Holding a water bottle in your hand stinks. You can put it in there. You can put some candy in there. It'll be a great way to better facilitate your experience at a show. You can go to patreon.com/Floor Academy. Even $5 a month goes a long way in helping to support this show. You go there. They'll ask you for your debit or credit card information. You won't even know you're helping support the show. You won't even remember anymore. It's awesome. Just plug it in and help me out a little bit. You can find us on any major streaming platform. Go ahead and hit you got to hit the button so you subscribe and you get them automatically updated every week. And if there's an option to leave a review, please leave a review. It helps me punch higher in the ratings than where the actual listening stats are at. So if this show has helped you, please leave a review for me. And if you want if you want to leave feedback or suggestions, flooracademypodcast@gmail.com. Thank you, everybody. Thank you again, Caleb, and we will catch you all next week.